Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoya here from the Soonerscoop.com studios. Andy Bass commits to Oklahoma on Thursday morning. I was over at Heritage Hall High School. You can see all of the coverage from Heritage Hall as Andy Bass joins the 2024 class. We talked to Josh McQuestion about that on, what was that, Wednesday's show?
Yesterday,
the recruiting roundup, recruiting report, starting off a big week for Oklahoma on the recruiting trail. You got, Grant Bricks out there still waiting, and we got into a lot of the David Stone stuff. If you want to check that out, make sure you're subscribed to the Sooner Scoop YouTube page. Hit it, cherish it, do whatever you want. Tell everybody about it. George, we are 9 days away from kickoff in Norman, America.
Super exciting. It feels like it's been a long time coming. You look up and all of a sudden only 9 days away. We're going to enjoy it. It's our last weekend off. You and I have kind of joked about that.
Going big?
Going big.
Going out big
this weekend. No, I'll probably enjoy it, have some free time. Week 0, not a lot of great football games out there, but I'll probably be relaxing this weekend because until January, we really don't have a ton of time off, which is exciting. This is the fun part of the job. They're going to start playing actual football games here very soon. So going to be a lot of fun. OU starting to game prep, I believe, maybe even as early as this week. Obviously, next week, they'll be getting into some Arkansas State stuff.
A lot of coverage. I mean, the season is here. It's a great time to join Soonerscoop.com. We got a 25% off annual membership promo going on right now. Sooner25. That is the promo code, Sooner25, if you are looking to join up with Soonerscoop.com. A lot of really good content to come. We're going to be holding it down here on the YouTube page, but there's a ton of written stuff, and I know that you're working on something pretty special right now that will debut probably next week as we move into game week. I mean, it is here. It's crazy to see.
Yeah, no, and I would tell people that are maybe just watching the YouTube videos, we're just scratching the surface of what we do at Scoop on these YouTube videos. These are quick hit, hey, highlights, what we're seeing at practice, things like that. But if you want the full coverage, Soonerscoop.com is where you want to be. Lots of exclusive articles, interviews that I'm doing, Bob's doing, Eddie, Josh, what he's doing in recruiting. So that's where you want to be. That's where the premium content, I would say. And with the Sooner 25 deal going on right now, I think it's the perfect time to sign up because like we've said, 9 days away.
Yeah, and Andy Bass kicked it off today. David Stone's making his announcement. The heralded 5-star defensive tackle that we've talked about so much over the last couple weeks since the Williams-Nwaneri decision and how important it is to Oklahoma. So we talked about everything that, we went out with the players and the coaches on Monday. Let's move into some Tuesday stuff. Let's backtrack a little bit because there was a lot of really good stuff. Jaden Gibson he blew us away on Monday and what he was able to talk about. Savion Byrd kind of did the same.
Got an MFer
on Tuesday, and I'm really excited about it. He was awesome. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, though. We talked to Jeff Lebby. The offense, they've gone through what now? 3 or 4 scrimmages. They're coming off of a scrimmage in which they did a lot of situational work.
Yeah.
I think the likely suspects, their names have continued to come up on the offensive side of the ball, right?
Yeah, no, it's, Andrell Anthony, it's, Jaquez Padaway, Nick Anderson, Jaden Gibson, those guys. We got a chance to, talk to Jeff Lebby about what they're working on. Dylan Gabriel sounds like he's having a really good fall camp. I know Jeff Lebby talked a lot about him and just the way that they're performing in those scrimmages. It just seems like they feel really good about where the offense is. The offensive line, we'll get to some of that in a little bit, but that seems like a unit that's really come together so far in fall camp.
Yeah, it was good to talk to Andrew Raym. We'll get to him in a second. Here is Jeff Lebby, Oklahoma offensive coordinator, recapping the scrimmages as well as his wide receiver unit.
There's been a lot of good. There's been plenty, that we're continuing to work through and fix and just continuing to try to create depth at every single position. I do like where we're at. I like our guys' attitude and their effort and their toughness. We got to continue to get better. I think our guys understand that as we work towards next Saturday. He's got a chance to see multiple guys get carries next Saturday, which is a great thing. Got a chance to keep guys, fresh and healthy. I think everybody understands how we want to run the football. And that won't change, and got a chance to do it by committee, which is huge.
Specifically the wide receiver, where do you feel like they stand here 2 weeks before the first game?
I think we're going to be able to play multiple guys. I think that's the best part of that group right now is that I think you got a chance to see 6 or 7 guys, which that wasn't necessarily the case last year. So feel good about the depth of that room. Guys got to go make plays next Saturday.
Jalil Farouk, Drake Stoops, Gavin Freeman. I think that those are the three that we know. This is something that goes back all the way to local media day, talking about when Emmett Jones, Oklahoma's first-year wide receivers coach, talked about playing 6-7 guys. And we've gotten into all of that on the Unofficial 40. You can download that, all platforms of where the Unofficial 40 can be found. But 6 or 7, let's start whittling away at this. We talked about Farouk. We talked about Drake Stoops. We talked about Gavin Freeman. We throw Andrell Anthony in there, and that leaves 2 or 3 spots, right?
Yeah, and I think it's, Jaden Gibson. Sounds like he's have a really good fall camp. Nick Anderson is someone that's done especially well in the scrimmages, it sounds like. And then Jaquez Petaway. I think it's those 3 guys. You mentioned the other 4. I think it's those 3 are the next ones up. And there's a chance that, a Jaden Gibson, a Nick Anderson, Petaway, those guys at the end of the season, all of a sudden we look up and maybe they're leading the team in receiving yards. Who knows? I think that it's really up for grabs. I know everyone's talking about Farouk, and rightfully so. He's a guy that's played a lot of football for Oklahoma, but I think there's some other guys that their ceilings might be a little bit higher, and they've had some really good fall camps. We haven't heard a ton about Farouk so far in fall camp, so I wonder if one of these young guys can come out of nowhere and be that guy for Oklahoma.
What about an Evely Bunkley Shelton? He was a guy that Jeff Lebby mentioned on Tuesday as far as a guy that they trust a lot, a guy that, I think he's done everything right, and I thought he was going to be a bigger factor a year ago, and it just never came together.
Yeah, last year was such a weird year for that receiver group. It felt like once Cale Gundy left the program and there wasn't a ton of trust with a lot of new guys in there. You had a Marvin Mims who you could rely on, a Jalil Farouk, Drake Stoops. Those were your 3 guys. Other than that, they didn't have a ton of guys. And so can an LV Bunkley Shelton, who has been in the system, right, over a year now, can he assert himself? I'm not so sure. He's another guy we just haven't heard a lot about in fall camp. He was brought up by Jeff Lebby on Tuesday, but again, until we see it on the field, what does it actually look like for a guy like that?
Sure, no doubt about it. And, I think the good news is for Oklahoma fans, that's coming in 9 days as Oklahoma opens the season against Arkansas State, 11 a.m. It's going to be 1,000 degrees in Norman, America. But the question is for Jeff Lebby, is his offense ready?
I think that'll be a little easier to answer after next Saturday, after we go play for real. Again, today, as we get off the practice field, we want to do a lot of things a lot better. I got a feeling next Saturday will be the same thing. It's not going to be a game of perfect, but I feel really good about our guys' intent, feel really good about our guys' toughness and attitude and want to and playing the way we need them to play every single Saturday. So that's been great to see.
Cliche line here, but everything starts up front for Oklahoma offensively. And, we've talked about Oklahoma's defensive line. We've talked about, how this offensive line is starting to come together, George. And I feel like this thing, starting 1 through 5, we've said it probably 50 times here over the last couple weeks. They feel really good about that starting unit.
Yeah, and you look at the guys up front. You bring in a Walter Rouse from Stanford, very experienced guy. It sounds like he's having a better fall camp than anyone anticipated, has brought a lot to that group in terms of leadership and also just experience. Then you look at center. Andrew Raym's played a lot of football for Oklahoma. He's finally healthy all the way through fall camp. McCade Mattower is a guy that's come in and played a ton of football for Oklahoma. I know there's some people out there that maybe are skeptical about him, but he is a guy that
41 starts.
Yeah, 41 starts, and he's consistent. You know what you're going to get from him. And then Tyler Guyton at right tackle. Everybody knows he has the highest ceiling of the group. But then that left guard spot, that was the question mark, right, for this group coming into the season. It sounds like Savion Byrd has taken that position over. He's going to start there, and it sounds like he has had a phenomenal fall camp.
I remember going up to Broken Arrow High School and talking to Andrew Raym when he was a senior. And, we've covered him, I think, for 3 years now. On Tuesday, that was probably as confident. It helps that he's healthy. I think that's probably the first thing to say, and he said it himself. But that's as confident as he's been about an offensive line group, talking about that starting 5, the closeness of that group. And so here is Andrew Raym, as well as Savion Byrd, talking about chemistry.
I'll tell you, I've been here for 4 years, and this is the closest line I've ever been a part of. All 5 of us, and all 10, 15 of us, we're hanging out together every week. We're outside of the facility together, and I mean, like we can get on to each other, tell each other the truth, and we take it right. You know what I mean? Like
we're not embarrassed to love one another. Like, man, we have genuine love for one another. We'll correct one of us if we're wrong in a situation. Like, it's never dirt. Like, we just hold each other accountability. And it really shows. We hold ourselves to a standard. Coach B hold us to a standard, and we like to hold ourselves to that standard.
We run for last year like 6.5 yards a carry maybe. But shoot, like I said, this line, when we're clicking on all cylinders, we're playing ball really well. We're digging people out. Our backs would get to the end zone without getting touched. So our line's going to have a hell of a year if we put it all together.
So let's stay right there, George. Let's stay with Savion Byrd. That was the first time that we've talked to him. Really, truly, I don't remember talking to him a year ago. And rightfully so. There probably wasn't much of a reason to have to talk to him. But he steps into that role, steps into the starting offensive line in the Cheez-It Bowl, plays well. He had a couple penalties, a little bit, kind of just overzealous at times, if you will. But, I think back to Skip Johnson. He's talked about this quite a bit. Different sport, but baseball, you'd rather have to tell a guy, slow down, than giddy up. And I think Savion Byrd is kind of one of those guys, isn't he?
It reminds you of Orlando Brown, right, a few years ago, a guy that every once in a while he's going to get a penalty for blocking through the whistle. And that's okay. And if it doesn't hurt your team in certain situations, that's great. But he's a physical guy. I think that he's matured a lot. When you look at his weight situation, that was the big question mark with him. He was 282 back in the spring, and everybody's like, man, he needs to get up to 300 pounds. I know Bill Beatenbow, kind of called him out publicly and said, hey, he's not going to play unless he gets over 300 pounds. What's he do in the offseason? He goes and eats a lot of Oreo pancakes, it sounds like, and some other food to get up to. Now he's up to 305, which is exactly where he wants to be this season.
Probably most important, as you said. He's over the 300 barrier. And McCabe Tower talked about that on Monday, kind of mentoring him, getting him right for the season, playing 14 games. But most importantly, the man is over 300 pounds, and he's living in hog heaven because of it.
It's looking real good, y'all. It's looking real good.
Like 285?
Yeah, so actually, when beginning of the summer conditioning, I was really 65, almost 70, 270. And, just staying consistent. I had to find my routine. So, what I'm going to eat on a daily basis, and then how am I going to eat on a daily basis. Just making sure I'm timing my meals up and stay consistent. That's really just been the biggest thing this whole summer, camp, and spring.
What's your diet?
Eat anything that I can put my hands on. I mean, yeah, anything. I mean, bro, I've been feeling bad because I feel like I'm low-key getting an eating disorder. Like, I feel like I'm really one of the linemen now. Carol's Kitchen, they have these pancakes. It's Oreo pancakes.
Oh, yeah?
No, let me tell y'all something. These Oreo pancakes, it's like 2 pancakes, got Oreos on top, wherever, and in the middle is just straight cookie crumble with, y'all got me over here sweating. I like breakfast food, and then there's a little food truck down the street. It's on Lindsay, and they sell Mexican food. Man, they have these nacho fries. They have all type of quesadilla tacos, and man, I've been in hog heaven. I'm not gonna lie, I've been in hog heaven.
I got to try those nacho fries.
Are they? Do you think they're good?
I don't know where he's
I don't
talking
know if I can
about
do
it.
the Oreo pancake. It just seems like a lot.
I like my pancakes plain, but I think it's interesting to hear the diet plan, and I'm sure they have him on an actual other nutritious plan that they want him eating. But to put on that kind of weight, I mean, he said all the way down to 270. It takes a lot of discipline, and I know that that's something that will continue through the season. They don't want him to drop that weight come the season. So, and to have that with the heat that's going on and how demanding fall camp is, I just think says a lot about Savion, and that's been a huge part for him, is just mentally getting to that part, because we know the nasty that he brings. So we've seen it in his play. It's been the mental part, getting over that hurdle, that I think everybody's been kind of waiting on for him.
Yeah, it's really kind of interesting. I know that Kerry Murdoch talked to Jonah Laulu on Tuesday about that, about players having to maintain weight. And, there's some guys that, because of the weather outside, they're losing 6-7 pounds a day.
Yeah.
And then having to, go and put that back on. I'm not a nutritionist, obviously, but it is a form of maturity. It is a form of discipline. And, Savion talked quite a bit about his relationship with Jeff Lebby, his relationship with Bill Beatenbow, his relationship with Brent Venables, and most importantly, probably Jerry Schmidt, who's kind of taken that offensive line and defensive line under his wing.
Yeah, no.
Really, Venables and Bill Beatenbow. Smitty never gave up on me. Like, never judged my character, never like looked down upon me or anything like that. It was always just, okay, next rep, okay, next day, okay, now let's stack days and let's be consistent. They really did. They saw me where I was at in life and they came to me. They didn't make me go to them. They came to me. And man, that's all the motivation I'll ever need. Like, if I have to go pool and hit 4 months, I'll go do that shit. Like, honestly, I just love my coaches. And football itself is hard, but like when you have genuine love for your coaches, you just love the program. And it's just, I got to say, like, you know, seeing Wanye, Morris, and Anton go out there and do their thing, it made me like, man, I want to do that. I want to be an offensive lineman. I want to have the love. You know, it's OU, dog. And so I can say, like, towards the end of the year, everybody's like, man, go lock it in. This is yours. Go take it. Go take it. And you work your whole freshman year, didn't see the field, sophomore year. You work and you work. And how could you not be motivated?
I feel like every week, Eddie, we have a new guy that's up for best interview on the team.
No doubt.
And, whether it was Peyton Bowen a couple weeks ago, Jaden Gibson earlier this week, and now Savion Byrd, who, if he keeps dropping F-bombs, then he's gonna win.
Well, if he keeps dropping F-bombs, he's probably not going to be getting us.
But I'll still vote for him for the media award.
Right.
But he was a joy to talk to. Just a guy that you can tell is starting to mature a bit, understands his role on this team, and I think that it's just going to open up a lot for Oklahoma. We mentioned Tyler Guyton, huge ceiling. I think Savion Byrd is the next guy in line on that offensive line that could have a huge NFL career if he trends in the right direction.
The quote is obviously great. Like, I loved it. Everybody was cracking up. Everybody thought it was funny, and it is. But I think that, like, there is a message there as far as kind of, and maybe it's an insight into the culture of the program, something that Brent Venables talks a bunch about. I was going back and looking at, like, kind of his opening press conference today even, and he was talking about, going into the locker room and telling the players that I'm going to be here for anything that you need. Literally anything that you need in this program, come to me and I'll be there for you. But it sounds like that, like, there is a good kind of message within a funny quote that Savion Byrd probably could have given up. He could have walked away from Oklahoma. He could have entered the transfer portal, thought he was getting screwed, should have been out on the field. But, I think it almost kind of like the Jaden Gibson stuff that we talked about from Monday's post practice, George. It seems like there's a light coming on for a lot of these guys, and it's going to be good news if that continues. If that projection continues, maybe this thing does come together for Oklahoma.
There's a handful of guys that you could point to that are in that same boat that I think that you look back at last year and they could have easily gone in the transfer portal or moved on from Oklahoma in some way. You mentioned Jaden Gibson, Savion Byrd. Those are just a handful. And you hear the positive things that they say about the program and the direction of it. But one guy, and we're about to talk about him, is Marcus Major. That's a guy, he's been at Oklahoma a long time, had a lot of injuries. He was a candidate that I think a lot of people said, hey, maybe he'll enter the transfer portal. He's been here forever. They bring in a lot of young guys at that position. They're really deep there, but he sticks around, and it sounds like he's super excited for what could be an interesting last year.
Marcus Major is entering his 5th year at Oklahoma, which, I remember being there for the first game of his senior season against Heritage Hall 5 years ago. But he is entering his 5th year, and I don't know, George, it seems like he is continuing to be talked about. He's a guy that Jeff Lebby has talked about even going back into last year as far as somebody that they want to be able to use. He just has to stay healthy. So here is Jeff Lebby as well as Marcus Major talking about 2023.
Yeah, Marcus is he's a guy that's had 14 good practices and a guy that's had really good toughness in the room. He's had really good leadership. So again, we're looking for big things out of Marcus, continuing to keep him healthy and get him to the field every Saturday.
Mainly just being available, just stay in the training room, man. You know, just being available for my team. You know, and just doing the best I can with that.
The times that you weren't available last year, how did you kind of work through that from the psychological side and stay positive?
I got a lot of supporters, you know, that got my back, you know, and I listen to them. You know, it's just so they ease it up on me, you know. And for me, I just kept my head up, you know, just taking it day by day, you know, with the recovery.
And have you done anything different this offseason to try and help that along, or just a luck thing?
No, it's all on me, really staying in the training room, like I said, you know. And that, we got a new recovery facility, you know, and I've been using that a lot, just really maturing up, taking care of my body a lot.
It's a little bit of a major if, but I just kind of keep finding myself wondering what's going to happen there. Like, is he going to be able to do that?
Yeah, and I'm buying stock in Marcus Major, and I think we say this every single year with this guy. Is he's looked great in fall camp. He looks the part out there. I mean, he's one of their best-looking athletes on the team. It's just about staying healthy, and I think he is going to start at running back. I think he's going to be the guy that gets the first carry of the season. We'll see. Javonte Barnes is the obvious pick, but I think Marcus has done a really good job. They trust him in certain situations. I know he's really good in pass protection. That's a guy that I could see playing a lot of third down situations. So it's going to be interesting, but they have so much depth there. I don't think they're too concerned at running back, but he's just a guy that stuck around the program that I think they're going to give him a shot to start the year.
A remarkable job by DeMarco Murray to kind of rebuild that thing, because it was pretty thin even a year ago, and now you have, you know, the two freshmen making over 100 yards in the Cheez-It Bowl, and Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk. And, you know, I don't know what to think about Sawchuk just quite yet because of the small sample size that we saw. He had the fumble, but, you know, the good was awesome.
Yeah, and he's been a little bit banged up in fall camp. He's missed some time the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure what the injury is. I think it's a lower leg situation, but he's been out at practice, just not fully participating at times. So what does that look like? Is he fully healthy, ready to go game one? Do they kind of ease him into the season and let, you know, a Javonte Barnes and Marcus Major lead the way? I think a Tawi Walker, that's not a name people are talking about enough.
He's played well in scrimmages from what I've heard. I mean, he's a little bowling ball. I think people remember him a year ago. When he got the ball, he's hard to bring down.
Yeah, and we named so many guys. Caleb Hicks has had a really good fall camp. Dalen Smothers. I just think we're going to look up. I don't think it's going to be an Eric Gray type situation where he's getting all the carries. I think they'll have a lead running back, but I do think it'll be a little bit more by committee this year than maybe last year.
No doubt about it. And, you know, there's only so many guys that you can play. I think that, you know, we look up and all of a sudden, you know, 5 of these guys aren't playing. We're going to go, oh, yeah, that makes sense, you know?
Right. Well, and it's a position, too. Guys get hurt really easily there.
Yeah.
Someone's probably going to go down. Maybe 2 guys are going to go down at some point this season, and all of a sudden, you know, you're playing UCF in Week 8, and you're going to have to rely on a Marcus Major or a Tawi Walker to get you through that game, and that's why it's been important for DeMarco Murray to build that room back up.
It wouldn't be an Oklahoma football season if a running back wasn't banged up at times. You know, I don't think anybody's wishing poor health upon anybody, but it kind of goes in line with the start of the season. Lastly, Brett Yormark, what are you doing? I get it. Like, it was a funny quote. I'm not going to lie.
He was honest.
I know why Oklahoma fans are upset about it. I know why Texas fans are upset about it. But if you missed it, speaking to a crowd in Lubbock, here is the Big 12 Commissioner, Brett Yormark.
In addition, candidly, we were able to get Texas and Oklahoma out a year early. That was a big deal for us, and I think all of you. Okay? And, Coach, I'm not going to put any pressure on you, but I'm going to be in Austin for Thanksgiving, okay? And you better take care of business like you did right here in Lubbock last year.
It's funny. I mean, it is a funny quote, but it heads to it was probably one of those things, and I find myself in this position quite a bit. Maybe you shouldn't just said it. Just don't say something like that.
Hey, I mean, look, you're the commissioner of the league. There's obviously a lot of tension there between Oklahoma and Texas, and it being the last year. He handled it well at Big 12 Media Days. You know, he got a lot of questions about it, kind of deflected them. So to go do that, I also find it funny. It's just like, what are you doing saying that publicly, especially when you've got all these conspiracy theorists out there about the penalties. And I think last year it was only maybe one penalty, a holding penalty called.
Was that ever confirmed? Like,
I
is
don't
that
know.
a real stat?
I've tried to look that
So
up.
you're just throwing fake news out there?
Yeah, I guess I'm the fake news one. But it's just, again, a lot of people, a lot of fans are upset with that, and I know that it's blown up on Twitter. I don't think it'll have any effect on the season, but it just we need football, Eddie. I think that was my takeaway was like, just get us to next week.
Well, and here's the thing: like, say a Texas or an Oklahoma, or specifically those two because they're leaving. What if they have a chance to go to the college football playoff? You don't think that Brett Yormark is going to want his conference to have a team in the college football playoff?
100%. I think that he definitely does, and. What's going to be interesting is if Oklahoma and Texas both get to the Big 12 championship
They might just
game.
cancel it. It might just be a Nelly concert.
I mean, I saw Oklahoma fans yesterday talking on Twitter about they're going to be rooting for Texas now this season just to get to the Big 12 title game. So for that to happen, they're really on edge. And so I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. And I will say it would be beautiful if that were to happen. Both those schools, their last year, somehow they both end up in the Big 12 title game, and one of them's maybe playing to get into the college football playoff.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
those are the two premier
That's the way
programs.
that this thing should end, right?
Yeah, it should be, and it would be very fitting, and man, it would be a lot of fun.
Very strong horns up for peace energy there from Oklahoma fans if they're pulling for Texas. That was a great campaign. Make Lindsey Street Great Again was another really successful campaign. If you were looking to get any of the merchandise behind me, go to SoonerScoopStore.com. 20% off all Make Lindsey Street Great Again merch. We'll get that out. The flags have been selling really well off of the website, SoonerScoopStore.com. Promo code for the T-shirts. We did it. We did it for 20% off for all Make Lindsey Street Great Again merchandise. So, George, that's going to be it for today's show. We are entering the final weekend. I think that Oklahoma fans will find much comfort in being able to hate watch USC again come Saturday night with Caleb Williams and our good dear friend, Mr. Riley. So, for George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll talk to you next week.